Sperm produced by tests mature within the epidermis, which are technically called ducts lying outside the test. Maturation is required for sperm to be able to swim in the air. When sperm leave the epidermis, they enter vas deferens, where they are stored. Each vas deferens passes into abdominal cavity, where it curves around the urinary bladder, which is this one, and the urinary bladder, and empties into an ejaculatory duct, which is this one, that is called the urethra. During the ejaculation, sperm leaves the penis in a fluid called semen. The seminal vesicles lie at the base of the bladder, and each has a duct that joins a vas deferens. Now, the penis is a male organ of sexual intercourse. It has a long shaft and a larger tip called the glans, which is conserved at birth by a layer of foreskin.
The testes are the male gonads that make sex hormones and produce sperm. They are found inside the scrotum, which lie outside of the abdominal cavity. The testes develop within the abdominal cavity but descend into the scrotal sacs during the last 2 months of fetal development. If they fail to descend properly, male infertility will result because the internal temperature of the body is too high to produce viable sperm. The scrotum helps to regulate the temperature of the testes by holding them closer or further away from the body. Any activity that increases testicular temperature, such as taking hot baths, using a laptop computer, or even sitting for extended periods of time, can decrease sperm production.
There are about 15 different types of contraceptive methods which allow you to enjoy sex without the risk of getting pregnant. Many of these methods of contraception also lower your chance of getting an STI. The condom. The condom is constantly ranked as the top of the most commonly used types of contraception because it is easy to use, affordable, and offers the best protection against STIs. The female condom is the same as the male condom, but you can find it easily in the drugstore. The oral contraception. It is also known as a pill, and it has a 95% of effectiveness that can increase if you follow the instructions of your doctor. The hormonal ring. It is a small transparent ring placed in the vagina for 3 weeks. You need to remove it and place it again in your period. The UID. It can be hormonal or copper-based. Its effectiveness is above 99%, but it has no protection against STIs. The injection. It has the same effect as the pill, but for 8 to 12 weeks. The surgical sterilization. It can apply for male and female. The patch. It has the same effect as the pill, but in form of a patch that can be placed in the arm of the female. The diaphragm. It is placed inside the vagina so that it prevents the sperm from getting into the uterus.
The clitoris is a female erogenous organ capable of erection under sexual stimulation. A female homologue of the male penis, the clitoris develops from the genital tubercle of the fetus, and it plays an important role in female response. The labia majora are two prominent longitudinal cutaneous folds that extend downward and backward from the mons pubis to the perineum. Together with the labia minora, they form the labia of the vulva. The labia minora is also known as the inner labia or inner lips. There are two flaps of skin on either side of the human vaginal opening in the vulva. The inner lips extend from the clitoris obliquely downward, laterally, and backward of either side of the vulval vestibule, ending between the bottom of the vulval vestibule and the outer lips. The vaginal orifice is important for the intercourse menstrual discharge, and reproduction. Then we have the cervix, that is a canal and passage through which sperm must travel to fertilize an egg after sexual intercourse. The myometrium is the middle layer of the uterine wall, and it consists mainly of the uterine smooth muscle cells, but also support stromal and vascular tissue. Its main function is to induce uterine contraction. Then we have the endometrium. Is the innermost glandular layer and function as a lining for the uterus, preventing adhesions between the opposite walls and the myometrium, thereby maintaining the patency of the uterine cavity. During the menstrual cycle or estrous cycle, the endometrium glows to a thick blood vessel-rich glandular tissue layer. This represents an optimal environment from the implantation upon its arrival to the uterus. Then we have the ovary. It's an ovum-producing reproductive organ found in the double pairs in the female as part of the vertebrate female reproductive system. The ovaries are site of production and periodical release of egg cells. Then we have the fimbriae. It's a fringe of tissue around ostium of the fallopian tube in the direction to the ovary. The fallopian tube are the uterine tube, but also known as oviducts or fallopian tubes, are the female structures that transport the ova from the ovary to the uterus each month. In the presence of sperm and fertilization, the uterine tubes transport the fertilized egg to the uterus for implantation.
The prostate gland is a walnut-sized structure that is located below the urinary bladder in front of the rectum, which is this one. The prostate gland contributes additional fluid to ejaculation. Prostate fluids also help to the nourish of the sperm, and the urethra, which carries the ejaculate to be expelled during organs, runs through the center of the prostate gland.
Ampulla of the ductus deferens is an enlargement of the ductus deferens at the fundus of the bladder. This structure is seen in some mammalian and squamate species, and it is sometimes tortuous in shape.
Bulbourethral gland, also called Cooper glands. These are pea-sized structures located on the sides of the urethra, just below the prostate gland. These glands produce a clear slippery fluid that empties directly into the urethra. This fluid serves to lubricate the urethra and to neutralize any acidity that may be present due to residual drops of urine in the urethra.
Hormones. The thyroid-stimulating hormone is frequently referred to as the thyrotropin. Its main responsibility is to provide regulation of the thyroid gland. A secondary hormone assists in the regulation of the thyroid gland, known as the thyrotropin-releasing hormone, which is secreted by the hypothalamus.
Although the hormone of prolactin is found in both male and female bodies, prolactin is regulated by the hypothalamus, which releases the prolactin inhibiting hormone known as dopamine. When the hypothalamus releases dopamine, prolactin does not release through the body. But when lactation is required, the hypothalamus ceases the release of dopamine so that lactation can occur.
The hypothalamus is also responsible for the secretion of oxytocin. Oxytocin comes from specialized cells within the hypothalamus and then journeys through the axons of the infundibulum until it reaches the lobus nervosa. In the male body, ejaculation and elevated levels of oxytocin have been determined to coincide, but there has not been a discernible need for the rise in this hormone in a male body.
The ovarian cycle. The ovarian cycle is divided into three parts: the follicular phase, ovulation, and the luteal phase. During the follicular phase, FSH, released by the anterior pituitary gland, stimulates the development of a follicle in one of the ovaries. As the follicle matures, oogenesis is initiated and continues, and the epithelial cells of the follicle multiply and secrete the female sex hormones, mainly estrogen. As estrogen levels rise, negative feedback stops the secretion of FSH so that the follicular phase comes to an end. The estrogen spike causes the secretion of GnRH from the hypothalamus, which in turn causes a surge of LH from the anterior pituitary gland, resulting in ovulation on about 14 of a 20-day cycle. Ovulation is the release of the secondary oocyte from the follicle and into the oviduct. After ovulation, the luteal phase begins. During the luteal phase, LH promotes the development of the corpus luteum, which consists of the follicle cells left behind after ovulation. The corpus luteum secretes female sex hormones, mainly progesterone. The uterine cycle. The female hormones estrogen and progesterone produced by the ovaries during the ovarian cycle affect the endometrium, causing the uterus to undergo the cyclic changes known as the uterine cycle. The uterine cycle can be divided into three parts: menstruation, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase. Menstruation lasts from day 1 to about day 5 and consists of the breakdown of the endometrium with blood passing out of the vagina. The low levels of the female sex hormones cause menstruation to occur. The secretory phase is from day 15 to 28 and consists of the endometrium doubling or tripling in thickness and uterine glands, producing a thick mucus secretion. The secretion of progesterone by the corpus luteum causes the secretory phase. The endometrium is now prepared to receive a developing embryo. If fertilization and implantation do not occur, the corpus luteum will degenerate, resulting in lower levels of the sex hormones that will lead to the breakdown of the endometrium and menstruation.